They are considered the gateway to farming. They are easy to raise, and they are also a great source of protein as well as profits. I'm talking about goats. My guest this week is Xolisani Mpofu, a goat farmer and a goat breeder as well, who is also the vice chairman of the Goat Breeders Association of Zimbabwe. Mr. Mpofu, welcome to the program.
Yes, well, thank you very much, sir, and the viewers at home.
There's been a great increase in goat farming in Zimbabwe. Now, maybe let's start there. What is driving this interest in goats?
Climate. Our climate conditions, they are asking us to grow small stock, particularly goats, because they are climate smart. If you look this year, we are in a year of drought. As you can see, we have been struggling to get rains, but goats, they survive through dry conditions. I think you can see that goats do well in deserts like Namibia and so on. So that is the reason why most farmers, they've seen goats as a vehicle of profit in terms of growing, instead of growing maize, particularly in regions like where we are in Matebeleland. I think for years now, we are the best in terms of growing goats. Mkwanda, Mad South is the capital of goats in our country. So this trend is now going across the country, and also the demand, which we are getting from inquiries from countries like the Middle East, where they are demanding that we can actually export goats and they pay us good money. So that is what is driving more people to join us.
And interesting, you mentioned that. I recall that you just recently had a goat in Daba in Harare. What was the discussion mean about this in Daba? If you could actually maybe start telling us more about that.
Okay, so our theme this year was growing the national herd a goat at a time. So we had speakers from various departments who were actually assisting farmers in terms of where we are, in terms of our head and the direction which we should take, and the money, where the money is in goats and so on. So we went to Harare. We had a very successful goat Indaba. We normally do it annually, and this year we did it that side. And the good thing about the Indaba is that we do the conference part, and we also do the training where we do what we call the goat course, whereby we train farmers what type of goats they must grow, because it's not all goats which we should breed and be profitable. I'm sure you know that they say we have about 5 million goats here in Zimbabwe. Those are the estimates. But I also believe that within the 5 million, there are some goats which are not supposed to be in our head because of breeding standards.
Right. What determines the choice of actually goats that you can breed or that farmers could actually breed?
We must breed for fertility equals to profitability. And for instance, we must select our bucks. We must not just keep every buck which is born and we think that it is a buck which can improve a herd. So we must select their traits, their characteristics, particularly the majority of our people, they are growing goats for meat. So you need a buck which can actually put more meat into your head. So that's what we do on the junior goat course. We train farmers how to select a good buck. So there are characteristics like the Matebele. If you are growing the Matebele goat, there are breeding standards of a Matebele goat. If you are growing the Mashona goat, there are breeding standards of a Mashona goat, which were issued by the Goat Breeders Association of Zimbabwe. And we also use the exotic breeds like the Kalahari Red, the Savannah, and the Boer goat, because I'm sure you know those are the world leaders when it comes to meat production in goats. So there's even the females. It's not all females which we must keep. There are some females which are not feminine, so those we must take away. So we cannot say count them in part of the 5 million which we want to do. So that is where our association comes in, because it is going to help farmers inspect the animals, and most of the animals which are correct for breeding, we must put it in the ZHB, the Zimbabwe Headbook, which is the database. So the world, when it comes to Zimbabwe, they want to look at the database in terms of how many animals which are registered. That is where we are going to kickstart the export business.
Right. That's intriguing. I would have thought, you can just breed a goat blind. There's no need to actually look at even the standards that we are now talking about. Then, which will bring me to the point. You are the vice chairman of the Goat Breeders Association of Zimbabwe. What is the Goat Breeders Association all about? We could start telling, and what kind of service do they actually offer to farmers?
Okay, so what we do is we are commercializing goat breeding in Zimbabwe. So what we do is we have called in all farmers in all corners of our country to come and associate with us, and we are going to assist them in making sure that they breed goats which meet the breeding standards of any particular goat, because those we have in our in our offices, and we also have inspectors, people we have qualified to inspect a certain breed. So what we do to our members is that we then send these inspectors to go and make sure that the animals which are bred by our members, they are actually functional animals. They are animals which can actually be registered. Those are some of the benefits. Like I told you, we had the course whereby we invited the president of South African Boer Goat Association, Mr. Copper Slaughter. He was the trainer on the day, and he also assisted us to judge the animals which we had there in Harare, so that our animals, they are in line with world standards. Because what the goat community is an international community. It's not about Zimbabwean goats only, but that is what our association does, and it affiliates with all other associations in the world, like the Namibian Association, the South African Association, and Zimbabwe also does that. That is what our association does to at least assist farmers to be commercial, you understand, and understand the trends and the marketing side, because the other thing which we do is the marketing side. For instance, we have a number of organizations, even the government, the non-governmental organizations, they come through us to say we are looking for a number of goats, and us, we will know where those goats are because we will have the database.
So then you are saying that when you are into goat farming, you have to follow certain rules, regulations, or even a science. So if one is to be a member, of the Goat Breeder Association, do they have to be a breeder? And already they have know-how? How does one become joiner?
Okay, look, to join, you can volunteer to join. You can be part of us even if you have one goat. You can grow from there. At least you are doing things correct. Like I said, there are some farmers whereby you will find that they have 100 goats, but if you get there, you only see that there is only 4 goats which meet the standards. So anyone can join the association and they can register their goats. You don't have to be a trained farmer. Anyone, anywhere, they can actually join the association. But remember, there are different reasons why people keep goats. Some, they do it as a hobby. I've seen goats which are pets. Kids, they play with them and so on. But I don't think those those are the kind of people whom we want the association. Is we want the commercial side, where the people who are growing goats for returns, for money, for profit. That is what we do. And I think the association has been doing very well for years now, and it's still going to grow.
So you mean you are moving farmers from really just subsistence, farming, of course, to actually a commercial. What does it take for it to actually to get farmers, to commercialize their goat breeding?
Farmers, they are coming in numbers. They are understanding the money behind the goats. And I think in the past years, we have seen farmers from everywhere, communal, they are coming in, they want to do the correct thing. Because gone are the days whereby we believe that a goat must eat for 2 hours or 1 hour. Science says, no, it's not possible. A goat should eat the whole day. So we have even seen that before, people used to respect cattle more than goats. But today, because of the returns which the goats they've been all giving back to farmers, imbuzi seziphuma ngo-8 ekuseni, which is a good thing. That is what we like. And our association, it also trains farmers in terms of management, not only selection, but management and the health aspect, because we also invite experts from different lines of goat breeding and goat marketing to come and assist us. So most farmers, they are coming the commercial way. And I think, as part of the vision, which our government here is Vision 2030, goats are part of the program, that they are seen as one of the things which we can actually grow, particularly our young people, so that our country can have a good economy.
Right. Like what does your association, what role does your association play in terms of certifying and maintaining standards, in goat breeding?
Okay, so what we do is we have the inspectors, or we invite the inspectors to go and inspect the animals, be it where the farmer would have invited us. And sometimes we also hold what we call national inspections, where farmers, they bring in their animals. And once the animal has been inspected and it qualifies as a breeding animal, we then get it to be registered with the Headbook of Zimbabwe. And that is where the pedigree is formed, because in what we are doing, records are very important if we are going to commercialize animals.
When you talk about Headbook and the issue of pedigree, maybe if you could just explain to us what does it really mean when the farmers are now actually breeding pedigree?
Okay. So what happens is that this is a lineage, or let me put it and say the bloodline. So if an animal is correct, that means it qualifies for what we call animal improvement, because we must always try and improve the head so that it can be better. So the animals which we used to breed with in the 90s, they are now outdated, because we should always improve. I'm sure you have seen videos going around where you see a goat lingana lethole. That is improvement, and that is where we should go. That we must do away with those small framed animals. And some of those animals, you will find out that they have defects. So the animals which have defects, they must be removed from the head through culling. And the ones which then survive, they should be registered. And once they are registered, then it forms the pedigree, whereby we will now start to trace the mother, the father, and the grandmother, the grandfather, and so on and so on and so on. And in the long run, what is going to happen is that we will know which bloodline is the best in terms of animal improvement. And for breeders who are going to embark through that, they are going to be fetching top dollar, because it's going to come a time where we stop importing from other countries, but we'll just have to be buying from local breeders here in Zimbabwe. And pedigree is going to play a very important role. And when you are going to export animals to other countries, like let's say the people in Zambia, they want to buy animals here in Zimbabwe, they will always ask for the animals which have history, which have pedigree. So that is the other side which our association plays.
So in a way, you are promoting actually goats that have IDs and that identification that can be traced in their lineage. Why is this important, and how does it help somebody who's a breeder?
Okay, so the bloodline, there is bloodline which is always consistent in terms of producing quality animals. So most people, they will always go and look for that bloodline. And that is why we are promoting it, because at the end of the day, those are the animals which fetches top dollar, because there are not many of them. They are champions, let me put it that way.
So what kind of specific support do you actually give your members in terms to help them improve the quality and productivity of their goats?
Through trainings and through also actually marketing, because we believe at the end of the day, everyone who is growing these animals, they want to have money in their pocket. So by following the correct standards, we are actually creating a market for our goats. So the support which we give to our farmers is from the day they are growing animals up to the day when they put money back into their pocket.
I see, whether am I correct to call it a craze? There is this greater interest in terms of now breeding exotic, goats, your boa, your Kalahari. What happens to the local, breeds, and what are you as an association even doing to preserve and even promote genetic diversity, as it were?
So what we did in terms of our local goats, we first of all realized that the reason why they have been lagging behind is because we didn't have breeding standards. We didn't know why we are keeping them. We couldn't even identify them. So any goat which crosses here in Matebele land, they say, it's a Matebele goat, that one. But why are you saying it's a Matebele goat? So what we did is we then went in, brought in experts who then put together the breeding standards of a Matebele, which was the first point whereby we are going to preserve our local animals. So now there are farmers who are specifically selecting the best Matebele animals based on the standards. And very soon we are going to see the Matebele also joining their cousins, the Boer and the Kalahari and the Savannah. But the reason why people went, like we were saying, they've been doing Kalahari Boer, it is because of the marketing and the correct way the South Africans did this Boer and the Kalahari. It took years for them to actually come with a product like that. So we have also started as Zimbabwe. We have our Mashona and Matebele breeding standards. They are readily available, and they were created by the Chibas, the organization which I lead.
What kind of standards are we talking about here when we say now this goes have a standard? Okay. Do they have to make it a particular trait or characteristic?
Yeah, yes, characteristics. For instance, the head. There's a certain head which we look for. And the horns, there's a certain way the horns should come up. So we don't want your horns to be wild, to come up, and there's a way they should come up. And I hope we are going to do another interview where there's animals. I would love to do that. And the ears also, there's a particular way they should come out. And how the goat bites, we don't want an overbite, we don't want an underbite. And a goat must walk like a goat, not like a cow. So and it must carry meat. That is one point which people don't understand. Because the reason why we grow some of these, particularly Matebele, it's a breed which we grow for meat. So it must also carry meat, your hindquarters, your forequarters, your chest. Your females, they must have, there is characteristics which I will share. I don't know how because they are readily available, you can even share them with your viewers. I will arrange that I give you a copy so that people, they can read.
So aesthetics and beauty now also plays a role here in selecting the goats that actually farmers can breed. Then which makes me then ask, given that, where do you see this trend actually of breeding goats in terms of promoting the diversity of the local goats that have less meat and over maybe the size, will this fall away? Or
They can have, our local goats, they can have more meat. Remember, the Boer goat was also selected from our local goats. So the thing which you just have to do is to select. We must select the correct animals so that we improve the local goat. So they do have meat that I believe I have seen local goats which are better than some Boers which we keep. But the only thing is we just have to look after them, promote them, and supplement them. Supplement is important because our goats, they will be, they are born today, they will live for 4, 5, 6 years, and you hear that I have never even given them salt. So that is one of the things which have been affecting our breeds, including inbreeding. So we must also control inbreeding. That is what has affected our goats.
right. So given that, also I'm keen then to find out now when we talk about farmers have bred the goats and now they have the goats and the products. Like, what kind of, is there really demand for goat products in Zimbabwe right now? Yeah, and what are you doing, to actually ensure that you meet that demand? Because I even wonder that can you really get goat meat readily, like beef and any other?
No, that is why we need more people to come in. We need more goats because we have more customers who are interested in goats than we have suppliers, which is a good thing. It means you can grow your goat today, you can fetch your money anytime. It becomes a problem when you don't have a market. But what we have a very big market which is paying us good money for meat. But we just have to organize ourselves and make sure that we produce enough. So before we even talk about export, locally, we have a huge demand for goat meat, and they are offering us very, very good prices. But unfortunately, we do not have the goats.
Given that, what kind of gap is there, like in terms of kgs, in terms of that of goat meat that are saying the market would demand? I don't know how much goat meat we're consuming if in the country, given that you're saying there's demand for it.
Okay. For instance, there is some retail shops which have contacted us. They've said each retail store was talking about 2 tons every week. And that is one. So one of them. But this inquiry has been consistent amongst some of our biggest retailers to say we just need organized people to give us this much. That is Zimbabwe. And then the Arabs, they came here into our country. They wanted to know the goats which we have. But like you see, we didn't have the correct records. But we just gave them that estimate to say we have 5 million goats. They said, no, if we eat your goats, we are going to finish them in 2 months. So you guys, you don't have goats for us.
So that 5 million could actually be service an export market, as you say. And
in 2 months, we are out of goats. So we can't really export goats at the moment because we don't have numbers.
Right. Wow. Okay. And
don't even look in Arab, Middle East and so on. Our neighbor, South Africa, they need more goats than the ones which they are actually producing.
Right. So given that, are we even importing more goats to actually
we are importing
build
for breeding.
The critical mass?
Yes, for breeding. The government has assisted us in terms of even waiving the duty aspect on these animals so that we can import goats into our country to improve the national herd. Yeah.
And given that, yes, we are already breeding, are we doing any value addition on goat products apart, yes, from the meat? Anything else that?
Yes, there are people who are doing that. I know a guy who has went the beggar way. I think I like the idea. And besides the meat aspect, there is people who are also doing the skin, the skin. They buy the skin,
hide,
yes,
yeah.
And then they say they are doing shoes, clothes, belts, and so on. And there is another breed which we have for milk. It's a dairy goat. I hear there are farmers within our association who are now doing soap and some other products for skincare because they say the goat milk is very good for that. And there are others who are also now doing cheese, goat cheese, and stuff like that. We are very happy.
So that's interesting. That's this opportunity right on the marketing and value addition. Maybe let's talk about a little bit about the health and management, really, of course, given that it's a issue that breeders need to pay attention to. What measures are in place to ensure the overall health and well-being of goats, through your association?
Yeah, so what we do is we always advise farmers to make sure that they have biosecurity in their farms, and to always try and move animals from places which are approved by the veterinary department. As you are aware that we have had the foot and mouth disease, which has been doing rounds. And I think fortunately, I have yet to hear a case where a goat hears one, but I hear there are also carriers, they can spread it. But more above all, I think farmers, they have been doing very well in terms of making sure that the animals, they are dipped, they are vaccinated, because the other thing which you should do, we must vaccinate our animals. And remember, they have a very terrible relationship with worms. We have to deworm them and cut their hooves, particularly now that the rains, they are going to come, because they suffer from foot rot very easily, especially if they are in wet areas. So our association carries that. We have some of the breeders who call farmers to their farms to come and learn in terms of the healthy side of the goat.
Right. And then given that also understand that breeding goats, they are more environmentally sustainable than other stock, for example, cattle. What initiatives are you taking, maybe as an association, to promote sustainable and maybe environmentally friendly farming practices among your members in terms of goat breeding, if at all?
Yeah, what we have been doing at the moment was the side of actually bringing in and growing more animals. And when it comes to environment, we have not yet touched on that, but I'm sure within the next council, we are going to have a committee which is going to be dealing with that.
Yeah. And what are you as an association also maybe just doing, or how do you engage with government and other stakeholders to actually advocate for the needs of the goat industry as an association?
We have committees which are working with government departments. Particularly, I think we are close to the Ministry of Agriculture and the East departments. So we have a liaison officer in our team who assist us in terms of dealing with them.
Okay, great. And what are the biggest challenges really facing the goat breeding industry in our country now to now? And what are you doing as an association to actually address those challenges?
The biggest challenge, I think, which we have is animal movement, because, for instance, when you try and move animals across the country, you hear probably half of the districts, they are under restrictions. So we are trying to find ways to say to the government, we know there is this FMD issue, but maybe why don't we actually test the animals so that they can move? Because some of us, this is the only business which we do. We survive through goats. So if they continue to close down the districts to say there is FMD. Basically, our biggest challenge is FMD, and we are actually saying to the government, we want the animals to be tested at least, then they can move, because some of the times you hear about this FMD, there are places which have been under quarantine for over 4 years now. So you wonder how a farmer in that area can survive.
Mm-hmm. And maybe just also linked to really talking of challenges, how is the issue of like climate change, impacting on the breeding of goats, if at all?
Yeah, it is very, very, very bad. But I think the goats were designed for this for these conditions. That I can say, I've been looking at them. Yes, like any other thing, you can see that we don't have food, but then they always find ways to survive. I think if you can travel around now, you can see that the trees, they've also started to, even without rain, and because they are already jumping around, and we are preparing to breed them very soon.
Good. Yeah, looking at this is the sector really on the go. What are the opportunities really for young people really in goat breeding?
There is too much opportunity. The good thing is that we have a market, there is money. Where there is money, everything is possible, because we want people to come and grow goats for profit. Like I said, we must also select good animals, and if we can teach young people as young as possible, they can actually be the people who are going to grow this head to the numbers which we want. So we are happy, and I've seen in the recent Indaba and Gold Coast, young people, they were over 70%, which shows that we are in the right track, because the future is exciting.
Yeah, what led you to be involved in goat breeding?
Goat breeding, to be honest with you, it was the turnaround time, fast cash, quick money. So you grow an animal today, in 10 months, it's ready for you to go and cash out. So the return of investment is the reason why I came in.
Right. Your tips maybe to advise anybody who would like to actually be involved in goats, like where do they start? Could they start with a goat, one goat? And like what would you be looking at, given you said the return is quite short in a few months?
Yeah. My advice to those who have not started is to start. And when they start, they should start with local females, the Matebele females, or the crossed breed, where you use the exotic and the Matebele, because those offsprings, they are hard and they grow fast. I wouldn't advise someone to start with the exotic breeds, because they will struggle to maintain them, because those, they need more effort. More effort meaning, for instance, they are big animals, so which means they should be eating for a long time, so that they are able to fill their bodies, and they are not used to our area. So you find out that you buy it wherever you bought it, but it is not used to the ticks here in our country. So you can actually get a male, and while you are learning, you use the local females, you produce your crossed breed, and once you are ready and you feel like you are comfortable, then you can go into the exotic breed. But for meat purposes, a crossed breed is very, very good, because you are going to grow it at a low cost, because that is what is important.
Yeah, I've heard up to that maybe breeding these exotics also comes at a price. What are the prices that farmer could look at in starting a herd?
Okay, if you are buying a male, the prices are about a good one. Look, it depends where you are buying, and are you buying the correct thing. But I think a good male should cost you about $500 for exotic breed. And the locals, I've heard they start from as little as $30, but
Okay.
that price is not good.
Right.
I sell my females at 100, but it's a story for another day.
Right.
Maybe they have not added value. Remember, you have to add value into your females, like the vaccinations, the dewormer, the supplements, and so on. So, and the exotic females, they go for about $300. Exotic females, they go for about $300.
Right. And then local female is the one that you said $30.
No, I hear.
Oh, you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Right. If people are interested in contact you, where can they reach you?
Yeah, definitely. People, they can reach me if they want to ask for any advice in terms of goats, healthy management, anything about goats. My cell phone number is 078 503 5693. 078 503 5693. Yeah.
And physically, can they even visit?
Yes, definitely. We run about 3 stations here in Matebeleland, in Bulawayo, Inyati, and Nyamaendlovu. So anytime the farmers, they are welcome. They must be ready to come and join us. They spend some time with us while we go through the processes, but it's doable. It's a matter of being brave, because the other thing which farmers must know is that goats die, but you must not stop doing that, because that is how we learn. And if they die, you must invest more. So if you lose one goat, you must come and buy 2 more. You will feel better. But in the long run, everything is going to come together.
There you are. There's a lot going in for goats. Not only are goats really great source of meat, protein, and they're also important for profits as well. It's a profitable enterprise that farmers could actually get into. My guest today was Xolisani Mpofu, who's actually a goat farmer and is also the vice chairman of the Goat Breeders Association of Zimbabwe. This is Asake Online. Join us again in our next episode, where we'll actually be speaking to farmers and to other organizations that make farming their business.